All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Professor Kim. We're now into week 13, and so we've got 3 weeks left in the semester. Let me first say that I feel terribly that we had to finish in this manner, and so with all that's going on, I hope everyone's safe and healthy. I'll do my best to help take us through these last 3 weeks. Help you guys get finished with your final projects, and so we've got your discussion sections, we've got your final presentations, and then we've got your final reports. So 3 major assignments due in these last 3 weeks. Yeah. So I had sent you all an email discussing each of those in some level of detail, and so I want to spend the next 15 minutes, basically talking through the requirements for those remaining assignments. Yeah. And so first is your revised syllabus that I have up here that you guys can see on the screen here. As I stated in the email, there weren't any substantial changes, just mostly in the way of scheduling changes. I'm going to scroll down and just highlight some of the changes here. I canceled homework 2 before, that was worth 150 points, and so just to rehash, I'm going to be grading you all out of 850 points out of, instead of the 1,000 that was originally indicated on your syllabus. Yep. No major changes here. I'm going to skip to week 10. That's the last time I saw you all. We were all headed into spring break in week 11. Things started getting out of hand, and of course, we've got an extra week of spring break, right? So we had spring break weeks 11 and 12, and we were, I was originally planning to spend one more week talking about correlation testing, wrap up that section in week 12, but of course, I'm not going to be able to do that, and so we're now into week 13, and now we're putting together here your discussion, the discussion portion of your final projects. You got your online presentations, and then your final report is due, uploaded into TK20 by Tuesday, April 21st. Okay. Let me switch documents here. I want to talk through the first of these assignments. That's the discussion section that's due. This is an outline that I think I discussed with you all last semester. Of course, I had discussed at that time the requirements for putting together the intro section, the lit review section, and then the methods section. And so now we've got 2 more sections to tack on to that proposal that was submitted last semester. We've got the results section you guys all submitted already, some descriptive results, and so what we have remaining is this inferential results section, and then your 5th major portion of your projects. That's the discussion and conclusions section of your project. Yep. So you can see here that these numbers, you've got 8.1 all the way through 8.6. Each of these numbers correspond to paragraphs. Right, so 8.1, I'm expecting at least 1 paragraph. 8.2, I'm expecting also at least 1 paragraph, and so forth. Okay, and so going section by section here, once you've run your test that you think is appropriate for your study, and of course that's what our individual meetings are about. Once you've run your chi-square tests, your t-tests, and your correlation tests, you'll want to include those results in your results section. Right, so in section 7.3, what I've labeled here is as number 7.3. Once you've done that, then you're ready to write up your discussion and conclusion section. Okay, and so the first thing that you want to do there is summarize your key findings. And so to do that, what I'd like to do is to restate my research question or questions. Okay, so go back to your proposals, go back to the intro section, and consider what your research question was. It may have changed, it may not have changed. Go ahead and restate your research question or questions in this first paragraph and provide the answer to those research question or questions, right? So very plainly stated, right? If your study was about the relationship between, let's say, inequality and health, right? Then you say, I found a positive, significant relationship, or I found a negative, significant relationship between inequality and health. Just be really straightforward about what those findings were. Okay, doesn't need to be long, just a very quick paragraph, just summarizing your major findings in this first paragraph. Your second paragraph, what you'll want to do there is to reflect or look back at your lit review, and specifically the theoretical frameworks that you included, right? The major purpose of the second paragraph is to either, you're either using your findings to support a particular framework that you're included in your study, or maybe it detracts from a particular framework. For example, if my study were about the relationship between inequality and health, and you had two competing frameworks, namely maybe you had a sociological framework that said inequality does in fact matter. Maybe you had an economic framework, a competing framework that said inequality does not matter for individual health. And so your whole study was about, which of these potential explanations is more compelling. And so in the end, you'll want to reflect back on those theories that informed your study and say that your study supported X theory or Y theory, that is a sociological theory or an economic theory in the specific example that I gave you. In the third paragraph here, 8.3, what you'll want to include there are, of course, your unexpected or secondary findings. Let's say, if your study was primarily about the relationship between inequality and health, and you happen to include some other basic demographics, for example, race, ethnicity, gender, age, and so forth, if there were any secondary or unexpected relationships or findings, specifically in the way of correlation tests or a t-test for that matter, or a chi-square test for that matter, you want to include that discussion in this third paragraph of your discussion. Section 8.4 here, I think this is probably the most difficult section for students to write. I know it's the most difficult section for me to write. It's essentially, thinking about your findings and thinking about the consequences of your findings for, let's say, social work practitioners or policymakers for that matter. I think you have to ask yourself the question, do my findings matter? Or stated differently, you just simply say, so what, right? Let's say you found a relationship, or you didn't find a relationship between inequality and health, or maybe you found a surprising relationship between inequality and health where greater inequality resulted in better health of individuals in a particular society. You need to say, well, how does that inform policymakers? How does that inform practitioners who are out working with older adults where they're living in very unequal regions, right, where income inequality is rampant. So this is a really reflective section where you have to sort of uncover layers of analysis, right? You have to sort of think through carefully about what your findings mean, for not just practitioners or policymakers necessarily, for that matter. It's also in the way of literature or knowledge building, right? Does it add anything substantial to our existing knowledge of your phenomenon that you'll want to discuss? This is what you want to discuss in this implication section. In your limitation section, you'll want to reflect back and think about any barriers that you encountered in your study, right? So, for example, did you get the sample size that you wanted? Did you have some sort of ethical concern that was addressed in your study, or maybe that wasn't addressed in your study? Let me say, it's not enough. Excuse me. So it's not enough to simply list your limitations, right? And I would list maybe 2 or 3 limitations at most. So it's not to completely tear your research apart, but it's not enough to simply state the limitation. You do want to state something in the way of how you would address that limitation in the future, or how other researchers might address that limitation in future research. Okay? And then finally is your conclusion section. Usually when I write a conclusion section, I like to look back at my intro section and think about what the first paragraph was about, right? If your first paragraph was about the nature of inequality, then in my conclusion section, excuse me, so in my conclusion section, I like to reflect back on what the major phenomenon, right, was about in the intro section. And so this is all to say that this section should be sort of broadly written so that things sort of tie together all the way from the intro to the end. Okay, and so so that's the discussion section. That's going to be due. Let's see here. I gave you a date here. It's due Tuesday, April 7th. And the next is your online presentation, which I'm asking you to put together using Screencast-O-Matic. I'm using that software here. Very convenient, I think very simple to use. It's also free. This is a separate document here, and this is just outlining slide by slide what I'm expecting you to include in your final presentations. Please go ahead and use your previous PowerPoint slides, right? You guys have all put together some slides before. You guys put together slides last semester in presenting your work. And so you would have slides 1 through 7 already, right? We put together a title page. We have a background slide, right, that states your research question or questions. You had a slide that discusses major theoretical frameworks, right, from before. You also had a slide that discussed some of the secondary literature, right? 3 to 5 of the major articles that you looked at in your literature review. And then you also discussed methods, that is in the way of data and sampling. You had a separate slide that discussed all your key variables, right, and how you intended to measure them, whether they were categorical in nature or continuous in nature. And then you concluded your proposal presentation last semester with a slide that discussed your hypotheses. And so you should have slides 1 through 7 already. Now what we're adding are some additional slides. I would devote one slide here to results. If you have your descriptive results, right, that document, I would go ahead and include that discussion here as describing the basic characteristics of your sample. Actually, let me break up the slide 8 into 2. So I would devote a separate slide to your inferential results, okay, so that, and references are probably not necessary. Okay, and so I'm seeing 11 slides. You have essentially 2 results, 2 sets of results. You have some basic descriptive results that are describing the basic characteristics of your sample. You guys have all submitted that document already. You should have a separate slide discussing your inferential results. These are the results of your chi-square testing or your t-testing or your correlation testing, right? And this is, I'm separating these 2 sets of results out so as to promote clarity in your presentations. I would devote a separate slide to 2 separate slides to your discussion section. One slide devoted to summarizing your main findings and maybe some secondary findings. And on that slide, I would discuss implications for policymakers or practitioners. I would then devote an 11th slide here to discussing limitations of your study and then drawing some basic conclusions as a final slide here. Okay. And so, I think 11 slides would be sufficient for your final presentation. And if you could just go ahead and narrate, you have a 15-minute time limit on Screencast-O-Matic, which I'm very closely running into here. And so 15 minutes should be enough for that presentation. Okay. And then, of course, I'm asking you in the end to put all your documents together. Okay. You're going to go back, dust off your proposals, make any changes that you need. Many of your projects have changed since you started last semester, and so make any changes you need. Put the results section into this document. Put the discussion section into this document. Include your references, and then you want to add all your additional forms in this document as well. So any consent forms that you used, any surveys that you included in your study. I don't know that any of you used interview guides. That's if you had some qualitative results that you had for your study, you want to go ahead and include those interview guides as well. Okay, you don't need to include consent forms if you're conducting secondary research and you didn't interview anyone. So then your consent forms wouldn't be necessary here. Okay. And so you'll want to upload that document into TK20 as a last order of business. And that's due, we said, Tuesday, April 21st. Okay. If you have any questions about any of these last 3 assignments, please go ahead and email me, and we can either talk through email or we can do a phone call or maybe a Google Meet synchronous interaction. Okay. Like I said, I hope you guys are all staying well and healthy. I'll talk to you guys in our individual meetings then.